A lot of biology deals with molecules in solution, and a solution is made of a solute, what's being dissolved, and a solvent, what's doing the dissolving. For example, in salt water, salt is a solute, water is a solvent. Acids and bases are two very important solutes in life, and there are many different ways to define acids and bases, but here's one way to understand them. Any solute that donates hydrogen ions is an acid, whereas any solute that accepts hydrogen ions is a base. As you may have learned in chemistry, a hydrogen ion, also abbreviated H+, can be called a proton, and that's because a hydrogen atom without its electron is simply a proton. So to recap, a solute that gives more protons to a solution is an acid, and a solute that takes protons from a solution is a base. And a third way you could say it, an acid will increase the concentration of H+ ions, a base reduces the concentration of H+ ions, and the way you measure the concentration of hydrogen ions is actually relative to the concentration of OH- ions. So any solute that increases OH- ions will also decrease the concentration of H+ ions and be a base. And so there are a lot of different ways, as we said, that you can define acids and bases. So here are a couple of examples. One example of an acid is hydrochloric acid, HCl. And chlorine has a relatively weak pull on hydrogen atoms, so when it's dissolved into water, water easily breaks apart HCl into H+ and Cl-, which makes HCl an H+ donor. So it's an acid. An example of a base would be ammonia, NH3. And when it is dissolved into water, it attracts the H+ molecules from the water to form NH4+. And so then the water will become OH- because it loses its hydrogen ion. And as we said, because this is increasing the OH- concentration, it's also decreasing the relative hydrogen ion concentration. Therefore, ammonia is a base. So another example of a base would be NaOH, which dissolved in water will dissociate into Na+ and OH-. So again, it's increasing the OH concentration within the solution. So interestingly, there are also molecules that can act as an acid or a base. For example, water is capable of donating and accepting H+ ions. Water is still neutral itself though, so don't confuse this property to think water is an acid or a base. It just simply acts as one or the other when dissolving a solute because it sort of complements the solute by acting as a buffer. So pH is the scale for measuring acidity or alkalinity, the property of being more basic. It is calculated by the negative logarithm of the H+ concentration in moles per liter. And this sounds a lot more complicated than it really is, but it's written out like this. So the negative log of H+ ions. And what you need to know for bio is essentially that 7 is neutral, and anything less than 7 will increase in acidity, whereas anything greater than 7 will increase in alkalinity or be more basic. And so here's like a little chart, and you can see that lemon juice has about 2 pH of 2, and so it's really acidic, whereas milk has about a pH of 6.5, so it's more tending towards the neutral, although slightly acidic. And something like ammonia would have a pH of 12, and that's very basic.